Hey everybody, so the second round of the NHL playoffs has come to an end. We are down to the final four in 2021, and we have the semifinals coming up starting on Sunday afternoon with the Tampa Bay Lightning against the New York Islanders, and that means it is time for a series preview. Getting down there to the final few teams left this year. But much like last season, Tampa Bay and New York will be meeting in the semifinals. This was the Eastern Conference final matchup last year. It is the 2-3 seed semifinal matchup this season. And it is sure to be another great matchup and a lot of fun to watch between these two teams. And they're meeting again, and I think it's going to be a really close, hard-fought series, to say the least. So before we get into it, I just ask you to please subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet. Really helps out the channel a lot and is greatly appreciated. But let's take a look here at both of these teams, where they're at right now, starting with the Tampa Bay Lightning, who obviously went 36-17-3 in the regular season, 75 points, third place in the Central Division. Now, these teams did not play in the regular season. We are out of divisions now. We only have one team left from each division. So the teams that are going to play each other now have not played against each other all year. However, Tampa has won 2 playoff series. They won in 6 games, 4-2 over Florida, and they won in 5 games, 4-1 over Carolina. So that is how Tampa was able to win the division and come out of the Central, and they have looked really strong so far. In the regular season, they scored 3.21 goals for per game. In the playoffs, they are scoring 3.45 goals for per game in the postseason, so their offense has jumped up a little bit in the playoffs so far. Defensively, they gave up 2.59 goals against per game in the regular season. In the playoffs, they are giving up just 2.36 goals against per game, so their defense has gotten a little bit better in the postseason as well. So their offense has gotten a tick better, and their defense has gotten a tick better. Their power play during the year, 22.2% in the regular season. That has absolutely exploded in the playoffs to 41.7% on the power play in the playoffs, which is absolutely nuts. They are scoring on almost half of their power plays. You cannot take penalties against the Tampa Bay Lightning, or they will make you pay. Their penalty kill was very good during the regular season at 84.2%. It's down to 77.8% on the PK in the playoffs so far. So that's not, that's gotten a little bit down there on the penalty kill. But overall, Tampa Bay is playing better in the playoffs than they did in the regular season, and obviously I think Nikita Kucherov coming back has played a big role in that, particularly as far as the power play is concerned and the goals for per game. Shifting things over now to the other side, the New York Islanders. They went 32-17-7 for 71 points in the regular season. They finished 4th in the East Division, but they have now come out of the East Division after beating the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games and beating the Boston Bruins in 6 games. So they took down the 1 seed and the 3 seed ahead of them in the East, and they are now the last East Division team standing. They scored 2.71 goals for per game in the regular season. Not a great offensive team in the regular season, but holy cow, has the offense shown up in the playoffs. 3.58 goals for per game in the playoffs, which is actually even better than Tampa's offensive output so far. And that reminds me a lot of Dallas last year. It reminds me a lot of Dallas last year, who really wasn't a high-scoring team and didn't have a lot of offense in the regular season, but then they got to the playoffs and the offense just absolutely exploded. And we are seeing that with the Islanders this year, where they are almost a goal per game better in the postseason than what they were in the regular season. And that's been a huge reason why the Islanders are where they are at in the Final Four right now. Goals against per game, very, very good in the regular season. 2.23 goals against per game. One of the best defensive teams in the NHL. Hasn't been the same level of success defensively here in the playoffs. They're giving up 2.75 goals against per game in the playoffs. However, the goals for have exploded so much that the little slip in defense really hasn't been a big deal. Hasn't affected the team's ability to win at all because they are putting the puck in the net. Power play significantly improved in the playoffs from where it was at in the regular season by about 10%, 18.8% on the power play in the regular season, up to 28.1% on the power play in the playoffs, and it was particularly strong against the Boston Bruins in their second round series. And it was really the power play late in the Bruins series that really helped them put away that series and send Boston home. So the man advantage is definitely an advantage in the playoffs for the Islanders, and we'll see if they can keep that going against Tampa Bay. Penalty kill, though, really, really struggling for New York. 83.7% in the regular season, a very good penalty kill, down to just 61.5% on the PK in the postseason. So that is an area that needs to get cleaned up and get better for the Islanders, and that is definitely something to watch here because of how good Tampa's power play has been. You have the best power play in the playoffs, operating at over 40% on the man advantage, going against one of the worst penalty kills in the playoffs, down near 60%. If the Islanders take penalties against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Lightning are going to chew them up and eat them alive. They can't afford to go to the penalty box. Not with Tampa's power play playing the way that they are, and not with their penalty kill playing as at a low of a percentage as they are. So the special teams battle in this series is going to be really, really interesting to see. Tampa's power play absolutely lethal. Islanders power play playing well, but not at Tampa's level. And then Tampa's penalty kill, not great, but definitely better than the Islanders' penalty kill, which has really, really struggled. Overall, this is going to be a really interesting series. Obviously, these two teams met last year. They haven't played at all this season against each other. We have a really strong goaltending battle. I mean, Varlamov played outstanding against the Bruins, but it was Sorokin that played outstanding against the Penguins. So, which Islanders goaltender is going to take the reins here in this series and be the guy that takes over and really leads the way for the Islanders in net? Can the Islanders keep up their scoring against Andrei Vasilevskiy in the Tampa Bay Lightning? Vasilevskiy has been outstanding in these playoffs. He had a tremendous series against Carolina after giving up a decent number of goals against Florida. There were some games there where he definitely wasn't at his best. He came back in the Carolina series and was absolutely phenomenal, and ended that series with a shutout, much like he did the Florida series, and had some really good save percentage in that series and some really awesome performances. So you wonder, can the Islanders offense continue scoring the way that they have so far against Andrei Vasilevskiy and the Tampa Bay defense, which is only giving up 2.36 goals against per game, and really did a good job of, for the most part, with the exception of game number 4, shutting down Carolina's offense. So that's definitely something to watch. Is going to be, can the Islanders score on Tampa Bay? Obviously, the special teams battle is going to be huge. I think whichever team wins the special teams battle is probably going to win this series. And the physicality of both of these teams is going to really be something to watch. Tampa, obviously a highly skilled team, but they can bring it physically when they need to. They've got guys like Pat Maroon and Ross Colton down on the fourth line. Their third line, very, very physical. One of the best third lines in the league, if not the best, with Coleman, Gord, and Goodrow. Those guys can bring it physically, not afraid to get involved. On the back end, they've got, Ryan McDonough is very physical. Eric Chernak is very physical. Mikhail Sergachev can play physically when you need him to. Victor Hedman uses his body and his size when he needs to and can play physically. Tampa is a physical hockey team that is not afraid to mix it up and not afraid to get involved in that aspect of the game. And then on the other side, you have the New York Islanders. And obviously, their fourth line, one of the best fourth lines in the entire NHL, maybe the best. They stand out physically for that team, with Martin, Cizikas, and Cal Clutterbuck. And then, they've got some tougher guys on the back end. Scott Mayfield isn't afraid to get involved. Even, Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock. I mean, that's their top D pair. But they are not afraid to use their size and bang bodies in the corners. And, this is going to be a physical series. I think, especially with them having played last year, it was a pretty physical Eastern Conference final last year. I think that, there's going to be some animosity there right from the get-go in this series. And both teams have the lineups to be able to play that way. And I think that they are not going to be afraid to get involved with any of that. And it's going to be a tough, nasty, in-your-face style of hockey between these two teams. And we saw Tampa Bay play that way in their first series against Florida. We've seen the Islanders play that way both of their first two series with Pittsburgh and Boston, but particularly in the Boston series. That one got very nasty at points, and both of these teams are capable of playing that way, so I think it's going to be really fun to watch. It's going to be really interesting to see which team is able to come out of this one and which team is able to get the win. Special teams, like I said, I think is going to be huge. I think the goaltending battle is going to be huge, as always in the playoffs. And both of these teams have been getting really good goaltending recently. So it's going to be a really fun series, and I cannot wait to see it kick off. As far as prediction goes, I'm not doing predictions this round. I mean, listen, when you get to the Final Four, any team is capable of winning. There is really no way to know who's going to win this series before it actually happens. This is a great matchup. These are two teams that are playing really good hockey right now, and both teams are capable of winning this series. And trying to pick one would just be nothing more than an absolute guess. And I don't really see the point in that. I think that this series is completely up for grabs. Both teams can win, and it's going to come down to whichever team is able to execute the best. So, starting Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. on NBC, Tampa and New York, they are kicking off their semifinal series, and this should be a really, really good one. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys soon.